Hi, so the reason we're back in this whole area is because I'm getting renovations done, and because of that I've had to move all my stuff from the room I was in before into my bedroom, so I've had to set up this little scene, which hopefully doesn't look too bad, even though my old one wasn't that great anyway. But regardless, this video is about books and not where I am, so let's get into it. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about is Justine Kurland's Girl Pictures. So this book is about teenage girl runaways, and from what I've gathered, Justine wanted to create a photo series that would encapsulate the wildness of being a teenage girl. And she's definitely nailed the emotion and wild feeling throughout these images. And very few boys appear in this book, and the ones that do are subject to boy torture, which seems to be giving the message that the runaway lands are owned by girls, and boys have to abide by their rules, otherwise, well, they get dealt with. Now, there's a kind of candid tenderness throughout this book, and it's something that I've never really experienced through any photo series that I've seen. I think that's kind of why I'm so drawn to this book in the first place. Because every photo in this book has such a fantastic narrative to it, whether it's actually in the frame or it's just a beautiful candid snapshot, it really brings secondhand emotions. And by that I mean they're so beautifully natural that when I look at them I actually feel relaxed, as if I'm with them by the lakeside. Justine has really made something special in this photo book, and not only does it scream girl power, but it also makes me feel emotions and transports me into the scenes, which I think is the key to being a really great photographer. And one last note on the creation of this book. She wrote about how she would do the, casting of these photo series, and it was basically she would find girls who would fit the aesthetic and just invite them to come and shoot, and if they would say yes, she would take them to location and they would just sort of hang out for a while. And I think because of that, it really has such a great authenticity to the photos, because while the girls weren't true runaways, they really fit the fantasies that Justine was making. So to summarize, this book is one of my favorites, and it's just very, very interesting, both with the story and actually how she frames and takes these images. So if you're looking for something for a bit more inspiration, or maybe just a great photo project, I think this is definitely something to add to your collection. The next book that I want to talk about is Magnum Contact Sheets. Now, this is a book that you probably already have in your collection, and I hope that you've read it, and I hope that you know what it is, but if you don't, then here we go. This book covers over 100 contact sheets, and it has the stories with them, so not only do you get to see the actual contact sheet and which photo they chose throughout the rest of the roll, but also the whole story behind it. And for some of these photos you've probably already seen, it's kind of amazing to actually be able to read from the photographer themselves the story behind the photo. Now when I'm reading it, a lot of ideas come to me on not only what I can photograph, but also how to photograph it. And another note is that this is definitely more of a sipping book. It's not something that you're going to sit down and read for a couple hours, it's more so something that you'll read maybe one or two of the stories and you definitely just want to sit with them for a while. Really look at all the different photos in the contact sheet, look at the photo that they chose, but also kind of look at photos to see if there's anything on the contact sheet that you actually would have chosen rather than the photo that they chose, because that definitely can happen, and I think it's a good thing to sort of question other photographers, especially when you get to see their contact sheets. Now I think it's safe to say that by all definition, this book is certifiably a Rut Buster. Now you may be asking, what is a Rut Buster? Well, it's purely just something that can inspire you. This book has so many different stories on so many different types of photography, from wartime photography to celebrity portraits, that throughout this entire book there'll be something that you see that might just make you change your view on something, or find something that you might actually be able to go and shoot. I think the main thing that I'm trying to get across with this book is that it's changed my view on certain types of photography, and it really gives me an insight into documentary photography and especially wartime photography, because it's something that I obviously haven't really had much experience in, and it's something that I guess I've never really thought that much about, but it's pretty crazy the experiences that you would have if you were shooting the war and documenting it, because yeah, I can't even imagine what that would be like. So I'm going to give this book 4.5 MIGs out of 10. And I know that's not a rating system that I've used before, nor have I really rated any books before, but this book deserves it. So the last book that I want to tell you about is Liam Wong's Tokyo. Now, Liam Wong is definitely one of my favourite photographers, purely because, well, he's different. He grew up in Scotland and spent most of his childhood playing video games, which in his words were a way to explore worlds beyond his horizon. So after struggling through high school, he took a year off to make art, play video games, and watch movies, which I guess is pretty much what we all did. And not long after that, at the age of 25, he accepted the role of art director at Ubisoft Montreal, where he had his directorial debut on Far Cry 4. If you don't play video games, then those names probably mean nothing to you, but for me, I actually played those games, and now going into photography, looking up to Liam Wong and finding out that he was the one who actually made the artwork for all those games, pretty small world. But anyway, let's get back to photography. Now, just by looking at his photos, you can tell how moody and immersive that these photos are. He's also not afraid to composite or even add surreal effects in editing to really accentuate the visual story he's trying to tell. Every page in this book is dripping with atmosphere, and it's by far one of the most immersive experiences I've ever had in a photo book. Through double-page spreads and even 4-page panorama spreads, Liam has put so much effort into designing this book, and it has definitely paid off. There's just so much in this book, both in design and in the photographs, that it's probably one of my favourite books that I own at the moment. And this is definitely something that you should add to your collection if you can get your hands on it. It should still be available on Amazon. I'll link all of the books that I've talked about today down below, because I bought them all on Amazon, so I'm assuming they're still available at the moment. And as for Liam's book, he does giveaways over on his Twitter, so you can go check him out there and try your luck, because maybe you might get a free copy. So I hope this video has helped you find some new photographers that you like, and more importantly, I hope this video has inspired you in some way or another. And even though this video is going to be coming out a bit too late to buy Christmas presents, maybe if you do like 1 to 2 day shipping, you might still be able to get some presents for that special photographer in your life. So if you want to see some of my work, you can follow me at Twitter and Instagram, which is @migmedia, and you can also go to my website, which is migmedia.com. And I'll see you again soon.